So welcome everyone to the Finance Committee meeting of July 11th, 2022. It is 6:34 p.m. In attendance, I have Todd Dargy, Michael Bennett, Charles Burke, and myself, Tom Connolly. First order of business, acceptance of the minutes of our last meeting dated June 27, 2022. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
So,
I think we have to open the select boards here too, if we're gonna have to vote on your line.
okay. So yes, just want to acknowledge that the Board of Selectmen has joined us to for two reasons, really, two. Vote on line item transfers and for discussion on the mission and mandate of the Wage and Personnel Committee. Thank you. Okay, so roll call vote on minutes. Todd?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. Taken care of. Great. So we have a series of line item transfers to listen to and vote on this evening. Linda, you want to take us through those? So we thought that the procedure we'd use, we had at our last meeting, we had a series that we had to go through. So we'll take the votes on all and then withhold, and then we'll do all the signatures at the end. 10 minutes, let's just go through and get the signatures down, okay? Okay, Linda?
So the first line item transfer is the amount of $3,000 from the custodial employees account, main account, because they lost employees during the year, so they have a balance remaining in that account, to the town building PM expense account for unexpected repairs. And they also had to spend $10,000 for an engineer for the town barn roof in order to get an estimate for town meeting. The last couple of repairs he said, Scott Paterna said that they ran into was the generator at the highway had to be fixed because lightning hit a pole out by the highway. And they also had to do HVAC repairs down at the police because the air conditioning wasn't working in 3 of the rooms down there. So that is why they are requesting $3,000 to be moved over.
And it's coming out of turnover gain on the wage.
Correct,
on the wage.
line over to the expense line.
So could I get a motion to approve this line item transfer as written?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Michael?
Nothing.
Yes, Todd?
Yes.
Cheryl? Myself is a yes. Good.
So we would make a motion to accept.
Right.
Can I make that motion so moved?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Sure. Okay, first one carries. Thank you.
Yeah, the second line item transfer is in the amount of $30,000 going from the elementary school expense account to the special needs transportation account. The reason for the deficit is that special education transportation costs went way up, as you all are aware, because we've seen this beforehand. I will give you a little forewarning that the next two are also going to be moving to that special needs transportation account, but this is for $30,000 from elementary school expense over to the special needs transportation account.
Questions? Do we have any indication of any action being taken by the school to mitigate this expense? Because we've made a number of suggestions
Yes, we have.
on what to do that. Sandy?
I know that they're looking into some different vendors. Obviously, the school year is over, but I believe some of this transportation charge continues through the summer. So
Yeah.
I know they are looking into different vendors. They have been trying to negotiate. I do not know where they are.
Has there been any even discussion of the COA suggestion? The three underutilized vans that we have at COA?
Not that.
Okay, so what I would suggest is that we approve this 30 because they have no choice. But we're not approving another 30 until the school comes and talks to us. Yes, Sandy.
Will you approve all three of these? Because there's a lot more than 30 that's actually needed to cover the deficit. But then speak to the school at your next meeting.
Okay, so at the next
Because we
meeting, the
need
school
to
will
cover
come.
the deficit.
Ashley,
How much are we talking between the three? Can you go through all of them before we vote?
what's the total?
So it's $30,000 from elementary school expense to special needs transportation. It's $151 from special needs tuition. to special needs-
$151.
Yeah, so that's probably all that's left of it. It's got really.
They're all freaking out. Okay.
I said it correctly, just on it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so low, you didn't expect it.
Yeah.
And the third one is for $69,225 from the vocational transportation to special needs transportation. So you're looking at just about $100,000.
Right.
And this catches us up to what period, I guess? Or?
Yeah.
This will bring us through the end of June.
Okay.
End of June.
Yes.
So,
In the fiscal '23, the special needs transportation went up 67%.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we basically got a monopoly hostage.
Oh,
Okay, so before we take a vote on these one at a time, do we agree, let's have the school come in and let's talk about
Yes.
options? I mean, this is,
Yep.
particularly when I hear we're taking 69,000 away from VOTEC, I mean, somebody's gonna get shortchanged there.
Yeah.
Some kids are getting shortchanged on that, I know we don't have any choice, but.
So you want me to reach out to the school and ask them if they can meet you at your August meeting just to discuss what's coming up for the next year?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and what actions are taken to mitigate.
Okay.
Okay, could I get a motion to approve the first $30,000?
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote. All in favor, I forgot we're live, so we don't have to take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries.
We made a motion.
So thank you guys.
Second.
All those in favor?
And that's for all three?
No,
No,
just
just
do them.
So the second one is the one they want $151
Right.
from special needs tuition to special needs transportation.
Can we get a motion to approve that one as written?
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Carries.
So moved.
Second.
And the third one is in the amount of $69,225 even from vocational transportation to special needs transportation.
Can I get a motion to accept that one as written?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion, so
Second.
All those in favor?
Okay, those motions carry. Thanks, Linda.
The next line item transfer is in the amount of $2,200 even from town administrator's salary to the law account.
Any questions, committee? Sandy, can you comment on where we are on the search,
On the search for,
the new town administrator?
We hired one.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Vacation, I didn't know.
We picked one last week.
Oh, good. Okay,
I actually just met with him. We're
Yeah.
working on contract negotiations. It's in our executive session tomorrow. He can start pretty much immediately. So as soon as we have the contract negotiated, we're good to go.
okay. So I switched my observation about this thing, so this account will no longer be available for turnover gain for things like legal fees.
I would think not.
Motion to approve this one as written?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome, John.
Hey, sorry about that.
Yep.
So moved.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
What does that carry us through, Sandy?
that's through the end of June.
For
That
our
should be
account?
it.
That should be it.
That should be it. Yep, new budget starts.
Okay.
July
Right.
1st.
Okay, got it. Not yet on excessive legal fees, just a new budget. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, the next line item transfer is in the amount of $71.09 from the selectmen expense account to the town report account.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Second. Actually, Linda, could you just say it one more time and try to get this going down here?
Sure.
Yeah,
So it's $71.09 from the
Yeah.
selectmen expense account
all right,
to the town report expense account.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll actually move it.
Moved it.
All right. Who's second?
Wait on you.
All right, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
I'll read much slower this time. The next line item transfer is in the amount of $1,315 even from the highway wages full-time account to the gas and oil for all departments account to cover the increase in fuel prices that they didn't anticipate.
Is that from turnover gain?
Yes.
So motion approved.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion, so.
Second.
All those in favor?
The next line item transfer is in the amount of $1,500 even from the highway wages full-time account to the highway equipment and supply to cover expenditures that exceeded the amount budgeted.
This is end of the year stuff, right? So motion approved.
Second.
All,
So moved.
sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries here.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
The next line item transfer is in the amount of $2,656 even from highway wages full-time to the highway wages clerical. It's to cover the payout of earned vacation time for the previous administrative assistant who left.
Motion approved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. Next.
The next one is in the amount of $3,774.30. It's from the highway barn maintenance electricity account to the streetlights electricity to cover expenses that were more than the amount budgeted.
Motion approved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What's the amount?
$3,774.30.
No, I'll make a motion. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
The next one is in the amount of $437 even, going from the group insurance town fair account to the Medicare town fair account to cover the budget being higher than, the expenses being higher than what was budgeted.
Motion approved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
The next line item is in the amount of $1,350, 50.60. That's $1,350.60 from the fire wages part-time account to the fire chief's salary. This is due to the fact that the interim chief's start date changed to 2 days earlier than had been previously calculated, and that was not taken into account when the previous line item transfer was done.
Sandy, we have it in the budget for part-time wage.
Yeah, we have.
Motion approved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
To round it out at the end, we have one in the amount of $1,710 even, going from the town administrator salary account to the data processing account to cover unexpected hardware purchases for issues throughout the year and overtime to accommodate the workload on the department.
Motion approved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Linda, can I just have that one more time? Sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
$1,710 even from town administrator salary
Yep.
to data processing to cover unexpected hardware purchases for issues throughout the year and overtime to accommodate the workload on the department.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
And I'm going to pass those down the table because they need to be signed by our board and finance committee members.
Okay.
That was up. Yep.
So, wow, for signing.
That's why I say county difference in the air break or no, they're actually the same again. Definitely taking like that. It's on. Something, I haven't anything to yet.
You go ahead. No, we don't have that.
All the markers, all
This must be.
And then it's,
sorry, I signed out. Do you need light, Jonathan?
Please, a little bit. I'm getting old. Sal, I'm getting old.
No, or mine, I can transfer.
No, lost some electricity.
AC off.
I'm sure the cameraman will appreciate it. You see that? Yeah, thank you.
What's mine? Yeah. Good, thanks. So next up, sort of unstructured discussion with the board of selectmen about the sort of drawing the four corners of wage and personnel committees, mandate, responsibilities, all of that. And actually, a bit on carryover from the prior board, but if I were to characterize it, maybe you guys would characterize it differently. While we met and we talked about a lot of things, the fiscal reality of a 1% increased budget for our non-union staff basically made any conversation we had here sort of moot. So we never really, in the 2 years that I've been on the committee, we never really understood what is the mandate, what are we supposed to be looking after, and where do we have decision authority. Now, the consequence of that 1% for the last 2 years is that we know from the work we've done already, we're fundamentally non-competitive. We're losing really good people. And, but that has been, that argument's sort of been put to the back of the bus for the last 2 years because we haven't been able to come off anything other than 1%. The work that we did last year clearly indicated we should have been in the 3-4 range. Social Security recipients this year are going to get 9.2 so there's It's kind of a fundamental competitive problem that I think we need to solve for somehow. I think it takes some creativity, like the special transportation situation where we've got to think outside the box about how we do things. Because what seems to be taking a lot of the brunt of our fiscal challenge are the things that the Wage and Personnel Committee should be looking after. So I just want to get your thoughts on that. It's kind of, our initial impression of what we need to do there, but we've got to be,
I was against
go ahead, Ash.
dismantling that committee, just so.
As a separate committee.
It's a separate committee. I think we should have the women person. I think that to have people that can, maybe it's a couple of you, one of us, and have a committee that works it that way.
Yeah.
Is important to be able to bring that back. I think to have a committee that's going to solely focus on those things, because let's face it, you guys do a lot, and so we, and we have all different subcommittees we start on, and capital planning, different negotiations,
Right.
all sorts of things that we do. I think it was really disheartening to lose that we could have that sole focus committee that is going to focus on wage and personnel and be able to bring ideas back and think outside the box, because it's been a lot over the last couple of years. There's been a lot of turnover on a lot of boards, and I do believe that it would better suit our wage and personnel employees to have people who are specifically working for them.
Now, I would just I agree with you, but that needs a dedicated resource, because we've got a fair amount of work to do around market ranges and figuring out where we are and are not competitive. And what our process should be for deciding how to do new job evaluations and move people through. We can make that a subcommittee of this committee by saying, yes, we've combined it and it's a combination of these two, and we can make it a subcommittee. If we make it a separate committee, then nobody on this committee can serve, because we can't be on any other committee.
How does that work?
No,
We let
Yeah.
some of them serve on capital planning.
Belinda was on.
They're the liaison too.
Yeah, we have no voting
Yeah.
responsibilities at capital.
So what if we don't have voting responsibilities?
Right,
What
we
if
could do it the
committee
same
is
way.
Specifically to get information and resources to bring back to our voting committees.
Sandy, any problem with that? Because then we could have some combination of us and another, and maybe another as well.
Suggested I didn't hear it.
So the suggestion would be that, like, as with capital planning, it's a committee that doesn't have voting responsibilities. We still have to make joint fiscal voting responsibilities, but we have a committee who's dedicated to making sure that we're market competitive, that we see the data, that all of those things
I don't
happen.
see any issue with that at all.
I think our new town administrator would love a challenge like this. We're actually just discussing it. I think if we were to use him, maybe two of your members, one of mine, because we can't have a forum. And then maybe a citizen or two, well, maybe a citizen, because we want to have 5, probably not
Yeah,
6. 'cause
yeah, so we don't have enough time.
And we could reach out. Two others, no voting.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
We could
yeah,
do-
yeah. Yeah, I think it's great.
I think that would help. I know that you guys are doing a phenomenal job and getting a lot of things thrown your way. I know our board is new and working hard, and I think, in fact, we actually, I don't even remember how many subcommittees and liaisons we were at. I think we were at
Like 32.
32 between the three of us that were,
8 of us, 8 apiece, I think, for
Yeah.
so it's a lot.
Right.
These poor guys that
Right.
thought
So
they
you
were
got-
signing up for 2 meetings of
Yeah, that's a lie. Yeah, 2 meetings a month is a lie.
at least a week. Not true.
2 meetings a month, not true.
But I think it would be a good way to hone in and focus and make sure it's not getting pushed to the wayside, because we don't want to make anybody feel like we're pushing anybody away or it's not as important. It's just sometimes I feel like we're constantly jumping on fires that happen, and then that does kind of move and get pushed aside. So this will make it so there's a set person watching that fire person, so it doesn't go.
This committee is just for wage and personnel.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's okay. Underfunded.
we are. And we are getting at $26 million, having looked at some others, we are getting close to that point where other municipalities of our size actually have an HR function, it's a department head. And where, I would say,
That was,
probably at 30 million is better, we need an HR person.
that was an overlying theme.
Yeah.
Our TA interviews.
Okay.
That's how they manage HR and their experiences with HR.
I think this would be a great way to get it started, is if we give that committee, and what we mandate, market pricing, I mean, the department heads handle their, because it's non-union, we shouldn't be interfering with their supervisory responsibilities or things like that. But in your experience, actually, have other than pay, other wage and personnel issues, you know, the personnel part, come to the committee historically, or is that?
I don't
solved
think that
entirely
anybody's
internally?
come to the board. I think there's a, I don't think it's just.
But so much of the regretted turnover that we've had is probably that. Sandy?
So when there was a wage and personnel board, other human resource issues did not go to that wage and personnel board.
So it was
They
just
were
pay.
basically, they did wages and they did policy. They did not do, if there was an issue, a human resource issue. That would go to the town administrator,
Perfect, yeah.
sometimes the assistant treasurer.
I don't want to,
I
I
don't-
don't want to rule that out though, because with the new town administrator coming in, I feel like if he feels that he can lean on our committee with some other issues, I don't want to say no, that's something.
Well, I think it's important, we could do policy review and development
Yeah.
work, and this committee can do that. And then transactionally, I don't want to have a,
But without voting authority, you can answer the time.
well, they become
Come
here
back
for
in.
policy, we bring policies to propose here at the time.
Right. So I don't want to take anything off the table as far as discussion. If something comes up and have them say, well, no, you can't discuss that here. I think it's important that they have the flexibility to discuss any needs that come up with wage and personnel.
Yeah.
And be able to come back to our boards and say, hey, this is what happened. I think it's also great that we continue to hold meetings like this where we're all together, so we can communicate and be able to bounce ideas,
Great.
help each other.
So, do we have an employee handbook?
We got it.
We do.
Yes.
Okay.
So can I ask a quick question? Do we have, and I'm kind of new to this game, but do we have benchmarks set up in our handbook as far as job description, expected duties, things to, basically goals to set for each position, or is
We
that?
have job descriptions for each position.
Okay.
And we have a wage structure that's reflective of more of what we can afford than what the market says. But it's a well-developed structure. It's just, it's in dire need of updating. And not just updating where everybody comes up, but where we can see that certain positions have either grown substantially inside the town or the market has just gotten hotter for those.
Sure.
So there's this sort of whole adjustment process that needs to happen with the structure that we began last year, but we haven't finished it. I think if we had a
I know
committee,
that,
as you said, we could get that done.
I know that working on a couple of the contracts I'm working on this year and some other new hires that we had, council had suggested that we have standardized forms in different, so that every department head's giving out the same thing to all of their employees, every department head's getting the same.
For performance.
Well, when we hire them, it's all filled out the
Yeah,
same way,
so-
it's our town
So we
Halifax
don't
form.
say-
So offer letter, all of this stuff, et
Exactly,
cetera.
and then we're making sure we're following up with evaluations, so that's something we've severely slacked on.
Yeah.
And I know that's something that the new town administrator is
Good.
going to stay up on. So I think that maybe I can get sample forms of those of what other towns are using, and we can maybe tweak that in this committee too, and make it so that it's standard across the board for all of our departments.
Sure, sure. If I can access to student fair, municipalities and private sector and see what works great, so we can add it.
So I think we would need to pick 2 members from your board, a member from ours, and then see if there, we decide 2 citizens or 2? Do you want me?
2, 2, and 2?
Yeah, well, we can't do 2, but 2 for you, 2 citizens, and 1 of us.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense, that's fine,
Fine.
yeah. They have to be citizens, not town employees.
Exactly, 100%.
Thank you.
Will you post for us that we're looking for volunteers to serve on a, what can we call that, a wage and personnel subcommittee?
I would just call it a rate board.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a subcommittee. It's like the capital planning.
Well, we have a committee for.
Somebody want to? Okay, wait for rest of the board. Yeah, we could call it personnel advisory board, like that. That's cute. Sparkle, little sparkle.
You're bringing ice cream?
So we'll call it personnel advisory board.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So if you can do that, and then you guys, a personnel advisory board. So we'll need 2 citizens. And then, yeah, so I guess we would need a motion from the boards, both boards, to assemble the personnel advisory board.
So could I get a motion from the finance committee to assemble the personnel advisory board?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we're there.
I'll make a motion to develop a personal advisory board consisting of 2 members with selectmen and 2 citizens at large that are not town employees.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
You guys will have to pick your numbers.
Right. Want to be on? Okay, who else? Michael?
I'll do it.
Okay. And then we still have wages, effectively, the way the personnel committee is this current committee that the advisory board will come to. Is that how you conceive of it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so it's Michael and Cheryl. And of course, the rest, I know Todd's got HR experience, I've got HR experience, so where you guys need resources that we can pull in, just come to us and we'll help you guys.
Do you want to vote on that? Is the vote members?
Do we need, sorry, I thought we just did. No, we voted Constitution Committee. Thank you. We haven't voted the members.
Members,
So-
right.
So could I get a motion to approve Cheryl and Michael as our representatives on the personnel board?
So,
Second? Second. All in favor? Motion carries, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to make Mr. Alex Mead, member of
I
the
second.
Personnel Advisory Board.
Second.
Thanks, Blake.
You're welcome.
That's 9 now, right, Al?
That's it.
Okay, 9.
He's the leader in the clubhouse. Let's go.
All those in favor?
Okay, next up, so we're good there? Okay. Dick, you had the next on the agenda is a discussion with Dick Clark about water commission steps. And we're there, and we've got a here on what we need to do, but maybe just describe what the issue is.
Well, you all should have a copy of the simplified plan.
We do.
That kind of really sums it up, and I think you were actually stating part of the case a few minutes ago about losing so many people. I just want to back up a little bit, I don't think too long, but when I retired to the superintendent's job 8 years ago, we advertised that job all over the way. Everywhere we could think. We got a total of about 5 applications after all of that. Out of those 5, 2 of them were even qualified, and then 1 lived out of state. We ended up hiring them, replaced people in-house. If I remember right, he was only on the job about 2 years, and then he went out on stress. I don't remember exactly when, or how long he was out. Then when he came back, about a year ago, last June, I think it was, at the end of our, by the way, these are the other 2 water commissioners.
Yeah, welcome, guys.
At the end of our meeting, he put a bombshell on us and said that he was leaving. And we asked him when, he said, I'll be all done, I'll be all done by the end of June. This was up to the second week, is what he told us. So we had to go through the whole
2 weeks
process
notice.
all over again.
Yeah.
Same thing happened again. We got about 4 to 5 applications. 2 of them were up in Maine, which we didn't consider. But most of the problem that we had was a lot of people would call up and just ask what the pay rate was. And we couldn't tell them exactly when to take the step, so we said, well, we give them what the range is. So we give them a range and we tell them what the top range is, and they said, forget it, I wouldn't take it anyway. You know, because over the town like Hanson is like $107,000. So we hired a new superintendent. He's doing a fantastic job. We have a ton of work, major work coming up on the two plants within this, hopefully within a year, that he has to deal with. And we just, all three of us feel that he's doing a good job, and he's underpaid to begin with. And we just feel, we don't want to lose him, you know?
Yeah.
We gave the previous superintendent, we did the same thing, if I remember right, we skipped a step with him. We just want to give, you know, we want to keep a guy that's doing a good job. Years ago, this town, not too long ago, and I'm not going to brag, but when I was a superintendent, this water system was in the top 2% in the state for about 6 to 7 years. And you go up there on the walls, look at all the plaques we got. The three of us want to get that back. We feel we have a guy that can do that for us, and we want to keep him. We want to keep him happy. You guys approved, the selectmen approved the contract, but I believe it's a mixed union contract, but I believe it's probably. Our senior operator is pushing $80,000. And he has no responsibility. The superintendent has all responsibility. He's the people he has to deal with. That's the only position that I can think of in town. Both offices have an office or a building. He's got the water office, the treatment plant, the filtration plant. He's got to take care of the tank. He's got 42 miles of distribution to take care of. And he's got a tremendous amount of work coming up. The treatment plant and the facility plant, those two plants alone are a lot of work. And I don't know if any of you know what the buildings are. Have you ever been in them?
Yeah, but only because when I was a rookie, they took me down and showed me. I haven't been there. Not before, so.
Most people in the town don't know what they are or what they do. We just feel that, you know, we have a good guy. He's doing a good job, and we think he should be rewarded for it.
Cindy, what are we paying now?
I get it.
It needs a step.
Go ahead.
Do you have it? Sorry.
Go ahead.
There.
Yeah, right now, he's at step 3, we want to go to step 4, and it's only going to be an increase of $1,800.
What does he make today? Do we know what does he make today? I'm trying to compare it with that operator number.
I have a superintendent salary line item for the water.
I don't have that one, I don't have that one.
For fiscal 23, Alex? Because he just took a step, so you want me to fit.
So I have 22 voted and 23 requested,
Yes, 23 should be better.
83,794,
So we got operators making
Which is-
80,000.
which is down 4.7% from 22.
Right, that's because last year in FY '22, we had budgeted for the previous water superintendent, who had been here longer, so he was on a high staff. So that's why.
So here was getting-
FY '22, we only actually paid out $81,395.
And I'm not, certainly not assigning blame, but we also lost the last one because of stress. So,
It's a big job.
yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah. No, I mean,
We don't want to do it again.
yeah.
I understand that.
This also brings up the whole pay scale.
Yeah,
And
and
how the bottom half, top half, whatever you want to call it, it's also skewed. In order, it's just, in order to raise someone what they should be paid, we're putting them up to the rates that, like, used to be the time administrators grade, so.
That's not even.
So,
Right.
That's,
yeah.
that's not true.
Yeah.
And not to mention, I've never been a water superintendent, but I can imagine that coming into a foreign town, there's a learning curve. So, yes, the number on the paper is the number on the paper, but I can't imagine how long it would take once you're in that position to fully come up to speed.
Yeah.
And I'm not a water superintendent, so I trust the judgment of the gentleman in the back of the room.
The problem is that even we can't even get water superintendents to apply.
Well, that's not a water superintendent problem.
That's right.
But you know, nobody wants that job.
I understand, but a lot of people don't want to walk out. It's hard to get people to apply for any job.
Any job.
So you
are dealing with that.
The water industry has had this problem for many, many years. It's not something new with this industry. For many years, people don't want to deal with EPA, or having somebody yell at them. or something.
Sure, no, there's a lot of industries that have been choked up by regulations.
Correct.
Yeah.
But this was getting worse. It gets worse every year.
Where did it come from, Dick? Where did you get it?
Excuse me?
Where did you get him from?
Kingston. They weren't happy with us.
He's phenomenal. I've had to work a little bit with him over the last year, and he's definitely had to set this down.
So again, what step is he currently and what would he be moving to? Did you say 3 to 4? 4 should be 3.
It's like $1,800 more, he said.
He's on step 2 right now.
Okay.
Well, no, Linda just said he went up.
Step 3. They're asking that he go step.
Gotcha.
So he didn't move up yet.
So July 1st, I believe, was the anniversary where he would be step 3. They're asking you to skip giving him his regular step and take him up a whole other step to step 4. He was hired into the step 2 to begin with. So he came in at a 2, after 1 year he should be at 30, they're asking you to move him to a 4.
It's an $1,800 impact would be.
Yes, and we'll still be fiscally less spend than we did with his predecessor.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the structural equity issues, it's something we're gonna deal with the Personnel Advisory Committee, but I think we're exposed here, and we just gotta do this.
Yep. Is there room for growth after we move him to step 4?
Only 2 more steps. I would
See,
say.
I almost feel like Sandy was saying, the bigger problem is I feel like
The whole structure's gotta.
the whole structure's gonna get looked at, because my fear is we step this guy up, and we're gonna max him out way earlier than he should be maxed out.
Yeah, but hopefully we're gonna
Which
change
is a
that.
broader issue that the Personnel Advisory
That's what
Committee.
this board's gonna
Yeah.
do. We have to do something now, or we're not even gonna.
No,
we're
no,
gonna max him up.
I know.
He's not gonna be here in 2 more steps.
I agree, no, I agree, and it's not, 1,800 seems like, in the grand scheme of things, not big, but I just worry, we have a lot of folks that are, that are.
Yeah, and that's the larger issue. Yeah, that's the larger
And
issue.
I wanna get you guys money, absolutely, but I'm just worried that we're gonna have a lot of, I don't wanna say resentful people, but we're gonna.
Let's say there's a bit of distinction here too. Ours is a separate P&L.
True.
We've got a separate revenue stream there to protect and free that risk. I think there's a
Like a
issue. Yeah.
My concern is kind of piggyback on Jonathan a little bit, was that the first conversation we had, it seems like several employees in the town are underpaid and are very good employees. And obviously, $1,800 to keep a good employee is, I'm certain it's a really smart decision, but if we jump the step for this really good town employee, next week we'll have to do it for another town employee, and, because I think,
We're underpaid everywhere.
yeah.
We're gonna be short-staffed by our police.
So I
We're
think
gonna
we
have
should get them
take
to a
risks here.
higher rate. I
Unfortunately,
think we should do that through the first conversation we had. And I know it's a much longer process to get to.
Here's, John, for 2.5 years, I've violently agreed with you, right? That even when you weren't making the case,
Yeah.
it was like, let's all do it together.
Yeah.
And we've been stymied by kind of this fiscal reality that we couldn't move the whole class up at once. And so now I think there's a few places where we've got to, no pun intended, but we've got to, Dutch boys got to put their finger in the dike, and water seems to be the first place. Where if we don't, we're gonna start losing. So I think if we expeditiously address Personnel Advisory Committee and do that, it doesn't get in the way of the principle. John, I agree with you on the principle. I see the risk that we're taking with the water superintendent, but,
Unfortunately, our committees have to make really tough decisions sometimes, and part of those tough decisions, we have to weigh out what would happen if we lose certain personnel. And water and fire and police and things that are public safety issues need to take precedent, and that's horrible to say out loud because all of our employees are very important to us. But that's why we sit on these committees, and we have to make these tough decisions sometimes, and we can't make everybody happy.
there's
I
a,
wish we could, but we
yeah,
can't.
there's a time span of discretion thing too. Like we actually could survive months without a town administrator. I'm not, we did, right? But
I mean, don't ask the employees that.
But I don't think we can do it, I don't think we can do it with this job. This job is just too technical.
And I also make
Very
the
sad.
if we were to lose a good guy and his first, 10% of the year is 36 days, and that's $8,300. So we, $1,800 a year extra. I'm not working with these more important than anybody else, but.
And then we have to start the new guy, train him and pay for that.
Right.
And these commissioners have to,
You remember something else too, without the water department, you don't have a fire department either.
right.
It's a lot harder to put out a fire than we do, no water.
Every time that we
It's
go.
really creative.
John, I hear your dissent and like what your conscience, but I think this
Is there
this is
something
one of
that
those
we
traits.
talked about in our email in regards to, bylaw? Is that a part of the factor here? Do we have to,
Yeah, what is?
one of the options to vote on would be to change something in the bylaw, or we're just voting on just skipping the step?
I'm sorry, I don't
Are we
understand.
I think he's saying the bylaw says you take one step per year. So do you have to change something in the bylaw to say you can skip a step, or can you just allow for the skipping of a step? Yes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, thank you.
You can guide me through that.
I'm gonna see if I can.
Check it.
Yeah.
No, so I'm not against this move at all, but I mean, I've only been here a month and a half. And the overriding issue that I've been brought up to speed on from multiple departments is how grossly underpaid we are as a town. So I agree, this guy deserves, he deserves his money. I think everybody in town deserves what their fair share is. And I'm okay with this, but I just hope that we can use this to springboard and get things going as quickly as possible.
Right.
To try to get our town up to where it needs to be as quickly as possible, so we don't keep losing good people.
I think that's where being proactive and informing this board.
I love that. As quickly as we can hit the ground running, the better.
Yes. And in fact, even though we don't have the 2 citizens, maybe the 3, let's get started and then propose.
I feel like to some degree we're hemorrhaging good people.
We are. And that's gonna cost us money.
Yeah.
Let's just have, John, let's have Ashley's trying to check that.
Are we able to vote on it without knowing if it requires a change in the bylaw?
Ashley's trying to see now, she's looking up what.
Can we, John, can we do a pending bylaw review? Yep.
Oh, she's getting there.
I think, you can double check with Sandy, but speaking from the assistant treasurer's side, I think it allows for it in the first year to skip a step. But I think then it says thereafter annually we take one step upon good evaluation, so that might catch it, I think. Yes, Sandy, do you think? I mean,
I believe that's what it says.
I think it might.
When did he start?
So we have last year.
He started last year, so he skipped a step when he started. But I think John is questioning whether or not the bylaw allows you, I think it allows you only to do it in the first year and not necessarily any time thereafter.
But we asked for a number of years.
What was that?
We did.
We asked for a number of years.
You asked for a 3, and that was granted. Okay.
Upon like your hiring.
In his first year.
Wait, he skipped to the 3?
Yeah.
No, instead of coming in at a 1, step 1, so they begin in step 2.
Yeah.
Which is why.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think we just take a step back. There goes the.
It just makes it weird that he was promoted, but he's not being promoted.
That's exactly my point.
Performance evaluation.
So why can't I think we should do it committee and then identify the top tier.
Every year, for each step, 30 days prior to reimbursement. A conversation
I think it's an injustice.
Leave it in the process.
You're
Just said
You're
that.
absolutely right. We're
It
gonna
doesn't say that
do it by exception tonight. Is the way you're
each
supposed to do
employee
it.
and
That
individual with step rates
you know,
are
we're
provided.
We're fixing the law now.
Compensation to a higher rate of position after completion of required period of continuous service and
You
annual
don't have
performance
something.
evaluation.
That's you control is the exception. You have no control of the definition.
Exactly what we were just talking about.
So it doesn't happen.
It's fair. I mean, we can go down to the idea, we can make a vote pending a bylaw review, and then I will follow up with it and hope that fixes it.
But I gotta do it.
That way we don't have to wait to go back and vote.
Because I mean, you decide that.
So, Alex, do you want to make the motion and do the right verbiage?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. What's
Guy's name?
Sorry, wait, I can't hear what's going on. What's Alex making the motion?
I'm gonna make a motion to have Bill Lindsay, the water commissioner, skip step 3 to go directly from step 2 to step 4, pending the bylaw review to make sure that is appropriate and able to be done.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So,
I would make a motion that we wait till the bylaw review is redone and then we take our vote in our next meeting or at.
well, I think we can take a pending review similarly. And then,
Well, I think could I throw out the motion that we wait until the bylaw review is
Yeah,
included, and then we'll take our vote then?
like, what's the urgency, I guess, in
But we're gonna get that tomorrow, and I really don't wanna see you guys next Monday.
As much as I don't either, I'd rather.
Thank you, John.
Well, I think I said, that's why I wanted to see if I could make a motion and see how we feel about it.
You can make whatever motion.
Yeah,
it's
make
like
it,
after
second?
Or somebody else would make a motion.
Yeah, I prefer to echo the motion that the Board of Selectmen has made, which is the pending, that we approve this pending review. Okay, could you make that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Guys?
I'm voting no.
Okay, you voting no? No?
Yeah, I'm in favor of waiting. I just think this sets a new precedent that, you know, you have folks in here on a weekly basis trying to, they think this is the way to get a pay increase, and I don't think that's right.
Well, see, for 2 years, I mean, I'll make the point, but then I'll concede to you guys. I mean, for 2 years, that's been the argument. And so we paralyzed the town into not making any decisions because we keep bringing that circular argument to the table that until we do the systemic review, we can't make any transactional progress. And so I agree with that in principle. I think John's got it exactly right that we need to look at the whole structure. But the fact is we haven't looked at the whole structure. And I think we've got almost a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that this job doesn't suffer the kind of losses that we're suffering in others.
Yeah.
I would say on 90% of these jobs, I would totally agree with you.
And why do we think $1,800 is the magic number, I guess, though?
Oh,
Is this
that's-
what he-
Well, I'm sure,
Interest will be spent.
I mean, that's the next, that's
Well, I
for
agree,
sure.
but I'm saying as far, how do we know he's not gonna resign
No,
off?
it's not actually.
You don't.
I mean, we don't know that, but we hope that by us doing something, it's going to make a.
But it's it's the best we can do.
Right.
Try to improve.
I have no doubt that Dick believes this job's probably worth more than $1,800 more. And that if he could propose a higher figure, he would, but we are constrained by the current structure. We can't solve the money problem on the backs of our non-union employees. So to keep throwing out the money argument is not going to work. We have $26 million, we're allocating it wrong. We're allocating it to buses that we should find a different way to pay for and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I agree with all your points too. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
you
the
said,
revenue
very tough.
itself has been something we've been trying to solve for as well. It hasn't had any traction, so that's a big problem.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem.
So what's our motion, folks?
You had two motions, but you only had a second on one.
Yeah, you
Okay,
got-
so.
The only one
let's
going
take
is
the vote.
gonna be everything.
Right, so the same motion is that let's take the vote on that motion, and see where we are, I think,
Well, so you already made, there was already a motion and a second done to do the same as the selectmen did, which is to allow to the 4 pending the review, so you'd have to come back at some point and circle back to the fact that that actually is in fact what can happen. So you had the second on that, and then you had a vote of 3-2 on that. So that's where you stand right now. You had 3 in favor, 2 against.
So it passes.
okay, so it passes.
It does.
And do we need to take an affirmative action or pending Ashley's confirmation
We
that
just voted on it.
that
I
it was
just
done?
need to, I think the
Then we
treasurer's
can
office,
proceed.
the accountant's
right?
office would just need to know.
So once Ashley gets that review done and figures it out, she lets the water department know with a copy to the treasurer and the accountant. The water department will then do a change of status, which will effectively change his.
And then Linda, you'll let your board know, and I'll let my board know.
I can't stress enough though that I hope we get the message out that we will attack this wage issue. Because again, to echo what John is saying, there are a lot of, I don't want to say angry employees, but there are a lot of slightly disrespected employees with what we're paying them.
Yeah.
And he gets his money, absolutely, but I don't want this to set anything off here in town. And I hope people understand that we're gonna take this seriously, and we're not gonna kick it down the road again, and we're gonna get to bigger root of the problem.
I think that us starting to chip away at it a little at a time and forming this committee is showing everybody that we hear you and we're doing what we can do right now.
Absolutely. Great. Yeah.
So, I mean, in connection with this the other subcommittee, maybe this is just to put a pin in it for subsequent meeting, but we talked about revenue alternatives subcommittee as well that would help us kind of understand where we're allocating resources and where we might be able to do it differently. And, it was the place, for example, where the underutilized,
I think that's something the
buses.
committee could work on too and make it, or do you think that's anything more?
Let's try it. Maybe that's just,
I
if
think
we
it might be a good
expand the
idea.
mandate, so that's a good idea. Yeah,
And I think bringing in a new TA from a bigger town, maybe he'll bring some ideas and
yeah.
I'm sorry, Ashley, you said, who are you checking with on the bylaw review?
I'll follow with council.
Okay,
To make sure.
Yep, thank you.
So, yeah, thanks for coming in. That is approved, subject to this bylaw question that we just got to confirm that we actually have the authority to.
Who do you confirm with?
General counsel with the lawyers tomorrow.
Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is just general discussions about the budget, which we usually turn to Sandy for sage advice. Anything at this stage, other than we're about to close books and start over? Like Groundhog Day?
Saying, come back, I have one more line item transfer. I went through the whole budget status today, I think we're all set.
Okay,
I think this is the last one. So I'm hoping that holds true. We've set up the fiscal 23 budget going forward. I'm on the departments know they're getting balances on. I can't do the carry forwards for the grants and articles until we close the books.
right.
And hopefully that will be happening probably within the next month. I get till the 15th to pay bills. Once that's over, then everyone has to encumber money. So once the encumbrances are done, then I can close up the books. And at that point, I can give you a better idea of where we stand around the free cash. If it's going to forget, we've been draining a lot of accounts just to close up this year, so I'm not so sure how we're going to be doing with free cash this year.
Okay. Thank you, Sandy. Any other questions or anything we have on the budget at this point? Okay. Public participation, any correspondence?
No correspondence, but just a couple of updates just for you guys.
Yes, please.
As of right now, there are no applications yet that we have till the 22nd for your finance committee secretary. And the one person that you did ask me to reach out to on the talent bank form is no longer interested in being on the finance committee at this point. So, and we haven't had any new ones that we know of.
Okay. So for our purposes, guys, our openings are up to 2 more committee members.
Right.
So tell your friends. And the impossible task of filling Linda's shoes, which perhaps no one has applied for yet.
Hopefully the
We hope so. Okay.
And what,
Oh, Sandy.
So
Hold on, Sandy. Hold on, Sandy.
So I did want to ask how often the subcommittee is going to meet and when they were going to start. I know that you said that we could start even before the 2 residents were selected. So what do you see this as, how often and when they would be started?
First of all, that's report, not something.
Sorry about my misspeak.
We call
That
it
takes
the
a
PAL.
while.
And I'll leave that to the people we've burdened with
The PAL.
membership. So,
We
Alex.
call it the PAL.
Well, I'm going to be here again tomorrow already.
We have a very busy schedule.
Yep. Are we thinking,
Set up like a standard,
yes.
second, whatever, third, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't always work.
Hey, just Monday, week from today.
okay,
I'm gonna meet in person here, downstairs.
good, sure, it's fine.
That'll give me a week to do some homework.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think you should wait until you get your 2 members and you guys all meet to decide what your standard's gonna be on meetings.
That's a good way to get organized.
Yeah, we can kick it off, just
For sure, yeah.
get on the same page of that. What time works for you folks?
Like, time? I'm good anytime, so am I.
Let's say 5 o'clock
Yeah, sure.
downstairs.
Yeah, works.
We don't have a pain.
And if there's any information that you need from the accountant's office, please don't hesitate to ask.
Great.
Look at treasurers.
Yeah, and actually Linda has the results of last year's competitive.
Yeah, I don't think it was last year's, but we have,
It is.
the wage and
It's-
personnel has copies from both the Don Jacobson study and the study done by Kim Roy and Melinda Darcy. So
Okay.
if you guys want those,
Can you send those, please?
and like point, sure, not like point
Right,
system.
so 5 o'clock, Monday the 18th, I'll reach out to Pam and make sure the selectmen conference. room is
Okay.
open. Thank you.
Susan?
I don't know if I missed something, or if you guys think that it's somewhere where it's not.
Yeah.
But that secretary position is never posted on the website or any other platform that only goes out on Zoom.
So we spoke to the selectman's office, they advertised it in the newspaper, that's who we advertised it. And my presumption was that they would put it to the website. I handled it through the selectman's office.
Yeah, I haven't received anything.
No, we haven't heard anything on it, so you must have just went through the secretary, but we haven't been told about it.
I wouldn't tell you, we always have gone through the town administrator and the secretary to the board of selectmen, that's who I gave it to, they said that they would advertise it. So I just checked to make sure it was advertised.
Can we put it on the website, please? Because I know we have on the fire board, now hiring and all that way directs to the website. It's maybe I'll take it as.
But if I put it on the site, I just need the posting and job description.
I gave them both to Pam. She did discuss, she might have just missed it, but she did discuss that Caesar might want the job description, and so I had sent it over as well. So maybe she just missed
Will
it.
you talk to Pam tomorrow morning, please, and get that in there for them, please?
Do we need to extend the deadline because it wasn't posted in full?
No, because you don't have to post it. You have a choice of how to post any of your positions. You can decide if you want it a week or 2, and that's what the bylaw
It's a
says.
minimum of 10, I think it's a minimum of 10 days, it has to post it at least in 2 spots.
If you post it tomorrow, that's 10 days to the 22nd, so let's start with that, and if we don't get anything, then we can move it.
Yeah, the regular posting went to the advertisement went to the 22nd anyways.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure we get it up on there tomorrow, that way they're squiggling that.
And that meeting should be posted too for the subcommittee when you decide. So give Pam the information, she'll get it to.
I'm just curious, yeah, me too.
Well, we usually do with the subcommittees, like the zoning bylaw.
Not a committee.
It's not a committee.
It's not a committee.
I'm not trying to be a jerk.
No, I
The
know.
whole committee tag takes on a whole other.
No, that's.
Part of it,
Right, so you have no board, you have.
okay, this one is particularly sensitive because they're gonna have to debate things that are clearly in the best interest of the town that can't be debated in public yet. So I think yes, everything that they bring to us will be public, but I think if we can keep this in the board status as Alex, I think you're describing, that lets them speak freely about alternatives. No, we don't play by the rules. Right.
I think
You guys okay with this?
Just, I'm just saying, Alex is here and any other subcommittees, and they always post, so that's why.
Is there anything that prevents like members of committee that, you know, social media? Yeah.
Any other business?
Whatever.
Next meeting.
Okay, Linda, when did we agree our next meeting was?
August, I think it's the 18th, but I don't have the calendar in front of me right now.
I'll put an email on with it, but I think we agreed that this was it for July.
Yeah, July and August, correct.
Yes.
It's up on the, I already posted it, so it's definitely on the website, whatever it is, but I just forget the date on this one.
So, motion to adjourn the finance committee at 7:40? Second. Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Can I have the motion to adjourn?
Nice to see you soon.